It's no secret that Baldur's Gate 3 has been played thousands of times, and people seeking to challenge themselves have beaten the game in hundreds of different ways, using all sorts of spells and abilities. But what if you couldn't do any of that? Spells are vital to beating the game, so what if you removed it altogether? Now I know what you're thinking, Legendary, people have beaten the game without spells or cantrips. Yeah, but have they beaten it solo and on honor mode? Yeah, didn't think so. In all seriousness, go check out these videos, they're amazing. I hope you enjoy. We need a character name that fits. Yeah, that works. Starting class and race is everything in this playthrough. We went with Drow given that disguise self isn't something that can be used in this playthrough. And for class we went with Ranger, as stealth archer builds are tried and true and very powerful. At least assuming we can make it that far. But I'm better at the game now. And in fact, if I beat the game without dying, I'll face reveal at the end of the video. We begin the game by freeing us and going over to Lathander, who helps us deal with the imps, but this is a solo playthrough, so she returns to Layhell once more. Shadowheart is freed, and she joins Lathander after donating her shield to us. We sped around the nautiloid, woke up on the beach, and somehow Shadowheart survived. Her joining the party for less than 3 seconds gave us level 2. I also realized that Lathander was dead, and because Revivify is a spell, she will stay dead forever. At least because she's dead, we won't be forced into any long rest to lose buffs later, and she was left as an immobile blue floating orb for all eternity. Now Rangers normally unlock spells here, but we can't use any spells, so away they go. We do unlock the archery fighting style for an additional +2 to our ranged attack rolls. We then jumped up the cliff, avoiding the brain cats, and saved Gale from the portal as some insurance for later. Given we can't use spells, it's vital that we reach level 3, and by picking off brain cats one by one, and blowing the horn a million times after joining Zevlor up at the Grove Gate, we're able to get most of the way there. For the final bit of XP, we entered the Blighted Village using our Drow race to talk our way past the goblins, as we lack the ability to use the Mask of the Shapeshifter. Level 3 grants us the Gloom Stalker Ranger subclass for extra initiative, movement speed, and damage in the first round of combat, enabling for the most broken stealth archer build that everyone knows and loves/hates. Barkus was then freed from the windmill, the goblins deceived at the gate and Sanctum, and we got branded by Gut. We also made sure to stock up on gold and buy the gold Wormling staff for an exploit. We also got Withers, and using him, we respec into Warlock to use the Hexblade weapon trick to bind the staff to our main hand, unequip it, then respec to keep it bound. We need different types of arrows, as some of their effects can mimic spells that I need. More information on this exploit will be given shortly. After that, we headed over to Lump and his band, and paid them 500 gold for their later support in battle. We also grabbed Crusher's Ring and the Haste Helm for extra movement speed, the former being gently persuaded to give it to us, for free. We then headed back to the Grove to grab the Safeguard Shield from Daemon and some needed camp supplies. Then we saved Arabella from Kaga and began some assassinations. But first we need our Godsend bow. So we headed into Joaquin's Rest to save Flork and headed on the path toward the Paladins of Tyr, and they wanted some flying lessons, so we of course agreed. Well, better luck next lifetime. Entering the cave, we skillfully navigate through the traps and get spotted trying to steal the chest. Thankfully, we grabbed the chest and just let the gnolls kill the Zents. We cashed in the chest at the Zent outpost for the Titan String bow, the best bow in the game, dealing 5 extra damage thanks to the Hill Giant Strength Elixir we drank. The game is at our mercy now. Mole really wants the Druid's idol, and we want the Ring of Protection, but the trick to take the idol no longer works without the Druids getting mad, so we come up with another strategy. We kidnap a Druid, bring them up onto the elevator, and throw them down onto the beach with a bear, killing them to fall damage. The Druids were at a loss for words as the Druids slowly started to disappear with absolutely no evidence of our wrongdoing, and dealing with them all is enough for level 4. With that level, we unlocked the Sharpshooter feat, allowing for the most broken stealth archer build. With them out of the way, the idol is obtained and given to Mole without using Disguise Self by talking to Donnie and succeeding the perception check. Then we entered the Underdark and faced some Minotaurs, but by stacking boxes for extra range, using the bonus action Hide after our attacks completely breaks them, and they decide to just give up. In fact, they actually made it easier for me by using Reckless Roar to give me free advantage on attacks. The Myconids were bros, and led us into the colony where we speak to Dareth. She must really not want to mess with Drow. Introducing Gangsta I Hardly Know Her. Did you know you can make infinite money and items through Intimidation in Baldur's Gate 3? Obtain a valuable weapon, speak to the corpse in your camp of a previous victim, and become a Hexblade Warlock. Bind that weapon to your main hand using the Hexblade bound weapon, and then unequip it. Switch back to your original class to become a level 1 crook. Talk to a trader with the bound weapon equipped, and then place another weapon in the barter menu before dragging it onto your bound weapon. This scares traders, so much so that they will now pay you if you bounce off while not taking your weapon from you. This lets you take as much gold as you want from the traders, and any items you want, bartering all the gold back. Some weapons I recommend are the Gold Wormling Staff and the Knife of the Undermountain King in Act 1, the Incandescent Staff in Act 2, and any legendary weapon in Act 3. Congratulations on becoming the level 100 Mafia boss. Stupid. With our ever-growing funds, we obtained the boots of a gnome for curing her poison and used them to reach Grymforge. You see Dwargar, I see workplace accidents. They killed a bunch of drow, and no one messes with the boss's thugs. The Dwargar took a long swim in the lake and had absolutely no idea of their impending doom or that of their friends. You just gotta wonder how uncaring these dwarves are to watch their friends be carried off by a drow and hear a splash in the lake. They all one by one became food for the fishes or whatever lives in that lake, and apparently spontaneously changed clothes when kidnapped. Like this guy whose arm returned from grey to red when picked up. Then we jumped up on the ledge to assassinate some spiders with some alchemist firebombs and entered the main room where the carnage continues. Once again, the Dwargar one by one were sent to sleep with the fishes, or whatever creatures live in lava, though some were difficult to throw in. But they didn't seem to mind, allowing us to throw them as many times as we wanted. The one slight hiccup was with the Dwargar by the Rothe, who got mad at us and angered the Rothe, who were killed, and then the Dwargar turned on us. But by kiting them back over tens of rounds thanks to the Boots of Speed, we slowly brought their health bar lower. But the Herdmaster nearly killed us, forcing us to turn invisible and break combat, surprising them to take them out. While their invisibility is obnoxious, we have a strategy to deal with that. We headed to rest and speak to Volo, who gives us a nice eye treatment, and after ensuring us with the sea invisibility high, runs Mach 10 out of the camp. Volo did prove useful, selling the Whispering Promise Ring, granting a bless effect whenever we're healed, for a further bonus to our attack rolls. We can use the eye to reveal the Dwargar by the lake, and throw them straight into the water. Except for Genk, who had the good sense to use Enlarge, so we walk up to the cliff over him and snipe him. Him and the zombies can do absolutely nothing thanks to our Dread Emboucher hide, and though it took many arrows and alchemist fires, the Dwargar were defeated. Using an invisibility potion, the arcane turrets were bypassed, and we collected the Sussor Flower, a seemingly OP item for this challenge. After activating the lift, we eliminate the arcane turrets, and after reading the book, talk to Bernard to reach level 5. Extra attack and a higher efficiency bonus will be very helpful, and with that level up, we also introduced the animated armors to flight tests as they only weigh 50 pounds each. The tests were dubbed failures, and with that we returned to Ammelium, drinking heroism elixir, and succeeding the saves to unlock survival instinct. A free death ward once per long rest, importantly labeled a class action, and consumed 2 more parasites favorable beginnings, and psionic overload. Dareth once again provided her items for free after some intimidation. The Druid's Grove does hold one very OP item that we needed, and I couldn't be bothered to do the quest to do it, so I gathered a bunch of bombs and explosive barrels and placed them around Kaga and our rat friends, before blowing them all up with a fire arrow. The other Druids were mopped up, and we loot Kaga for the Broodmother's Revenge. This, in tandem with the Whispering Promise, improves our attack and saves from Bless, and adds 1d6 poison damage to our weapon attacks. Then we head back to the Goblin camp and talk to Gut, letting her take us into our room where we ambush her and kill her before she gets a turn. Minthara is next, so we throw the scrying eye into the chasm and attract another guard. Then from up high, we start stealthily picking off the goblins and eliminate a large number of them. Once Minthara is alone, we start combo with the goblins on the main floor and use hide. One of them somehow searches for me a full floor lower than me, failing to find me, giving me the enemy of justice condition. Now, any goblin I see will attack me, but peace was never the option anyway. After the big dude smacks me, we face Dror Ragzlin, and this is where the enemy of justice debuff breaks the game. For some absurd reason, if you're affected by the enemy of justice debuff and shoot from outside of combat, you don't even make a stealth check, and enemies will never attempt to find you as your position is never revealed. They'll never be able to figure out where the shots come from, so Dror Ragzlin and his gang were easily defeated. Up next are the gnolls who are still in the cave, though this breaks some of them, and when the battle begins they start under the weight of the world. Our damage and hit chance massively exceeds theirs, and we easily deal with them, and obtain another parasite. Dealing with some more gnolls, this gives us hyena ears for speed potions, a vital component to the run since haste isn't an option. We then enter the Grymforge to steal rune powder from a gnome, for absolutely no reason. Literally, I'm not even going to use it. And cut her life short, making sure to obtain 2 smoke powder satchels, and chuck some Dwargar gnomes into the chasm for that sweet 75 XP each. Then free Nier. Combat with him begins, and his legendary action is very annoying, allowing him to put up a shield whenever he takes damage. Thankfully, though Nier did hit hard, we had access to health potions, and his defeat was inevitable. Baldur then mentioned his people could hardly stand, and I can't think of one reason why that would be the case. The ancient forge awaited, so we chucked some suits of armor off into the lava, dealt with some magma effects by abusing darkness to cancel their surprise round, and reached the adamantine forge. Now, truth be told, I didn't actually need any adamantine gear, but the large chunk of XP by getting it and dealing with Grym would be helpful. I did also discover a few things when dealing with the lava elemental. Arrows of Ilmater are criminally underappreciated, as a hit from one stopped the elemental's massive heal at the start of every turn, and second, that I'm not going to fight Grym the conventional way. I shot the valve from up high to start the fight with him, and by hiding after attacking, he couldn't find us. We did have a low chance of actually hitting him, but we could also throw our boots and other junk at Grym, dealing massive bludgeoning damage. When the Mephits arrived, I let them fight Grym, and he easily wipes them. After another 40 rounds of shooting Grym from up high, he finally dies, leaving us just short of level 6. Then we head over to the Gith patrol. By attacking them from stealth, we were able to eliminate 2 of them, and then call in the ogres. Now normally, the ogres only exist as meat shields, but not only were smart about using their abilities, but I swear, Fank is an actual gamer. Getting missed by 3 of 4 of the attacks by the captain, baiting up the ready to parry with an attack, and then kicking her off the edge, almost one-shotting her to fall damage. He also was smart enough to use unarmed attacks to bait up the parry from her again, allowing Chalk and Lump to get in even more damage. Thanks to Fank the gamer, finishing them off was easy. Level 6 was acquired, giving us level 1 in Rogue. Up next was Ethel, so to annoy her and break the game, we threw an invis pod at Marina and attacked Ethel to get her to leave without her. Then after succeeding our intimidation roll, we did want to do a trick to deal with her, but we needed an item at the Susser tree. The Susser flowers, which nullify magic in an area, and, given we can't use spells, is only a benefit to us to nullify others' magic. But sadly, this did not work, as leaving the Underdark causes the flowers to immediately wither away. But we had an alternative to removing Ethel's magic. But first was the time to showcase yet another broken exploit that I don't think anyone else has found yet. You can accomplish this by having Glut in your party, encountering the Boulette anywhere in the Underdark, killing it, and then have Glut reanimated, then feed it an elixir of Bloodlust. Now I have no idea why, but drinking this elixir on the Boulette caused it to regain its diamond scales, 100 temporary HP, damage resistance, and any damage less than 15 is reduced to 0, not including the effects of the elixir. Turn the Underdark into the Boulette's personal playhouse. We obliterate the spectator just nearby, and then head over to Balin with Glut, who drags us back over to him and gets us the noble stock. Balin gives us a scroll, but away it goes. Now it was back to Ethel, and we help our victims escape their torment and surprise the mass servants before taking them all down before they even get a single turn. Once in Ethel's lair, we use a poison bomb to reveal her and deal with a clone, and this was where we unleashed our overpowered weapon, Darkness Arrows. By shooting one at yourself and hiding in it, Ethel and her clones would just pass their turns, as they couldn't walk to find us. By walking out, shooting some clones, shooting another Darkness Arrow, and then hiding, she couldn't do anything, neither could her clones. And though I did mistime some of the arrows, in the end she eventually surrendered, and gave us her hair. Yummy! Plus 1 to dexterity. We also then find the wand for Connor, and I kept it. I would later realize the absolutely massive mistake I had made, because even though the wand is an item, not a spell, when examining the options of it, to use it, it says cast spell, and I would only figure this out midway into Act 3, after I'd used it several times. But in the end, it won't really matter, so stick around till the end. Now that my stupid mistake has been established, let's go back to the goofy shit. Did you know that the Boulette can talk to the Koatoa?
Don't recognize
-4! The Boulette is also apparently unworthy of Bual's blessing, and so fought them all, knocking Bual into the chasm and taking absolutely no damage, as the enemies just can't deal enough damage to get even close to its damage threshold. And it soloed all of them. With them defeated, we headed into the mountain pass, making sure to attack the Gith mid-conversation by the monastery to keep the door open, as it's just the easiest way to deal with them. We also acquire some raspberries, which are a no-action heal and a way to get Blessed Broodmother's Revenge active. Because we needed a way to get through the Shadow Curse without spells, we needed the blood of Lathander. So we assassins created some kobolds, who partially dealt with themselves by setting the whole area on fire, and the kobolds are worth 70 XP each. We then headed upstairs using Vol's eye to reveal the Grimishkas, and surprised them all, dealing with them easily. Then we found a Guardian of Faith that just sat there and took all the damage without even caring, giving us the second holy weapon. And we surprised some eagles, killing them easily for the third and final holy weapon. Placing all the weapons gave us Morning Lord's Radiance, for an additional 1 to 4 radiant damage to attacks. Given our race doesn't make it easy to enter the Crche, we sneak in the back, kill the guards on the backside, and sneak over to the front guards, filling the role and starting a fight with them. But by abusing the door to break combat, we were able to pick off one, retreat, pick off another, until they were all dead. Now that we were properly in the Crche, we intimidated the Quartermaster for the Knife of the Undermountain King, a strict upgrade, as it reduces our crit threshold. Then we slowly went through the corridors, picking off the Gith, and using darkness arrows to hide. Then we fought a young Gith, shanked him, and was rewarded with a magic carpet bread. We did repay the trainers though, and after massacring the guards in the dormitory, we reached level 7 for Cunning Action, which doesn't really do a whole lot right now, given we have the Boots of Speed. After that bloodbath, we decided to get on the side of the Gith by handing the captain the artifact, then kidnapping her to throw her off the edge. I've game over 3 too many times with her, so no chances will be taken this time. But before the Inquisitor, we needed the Blood of Lathander to access some gear upgrades in Act 2. So we skip around the Inquisitor, jump past the traps, and claim the Blood of Lathander. This is our key to staving off the Shadow Curse, as it comes with a light aura, so we entered the Shadow Curse lands and fought the Caravan, as they're much more powerful with Spider-Bro around. This also then lets us skip the usual Karnas cutscene and head straight over to Last Light. We speak to Tali and buy the Incandescent Staff, respeccing into Warlock to use the Hex Weapon trick on it, as it's worth 600 gold as a base, rather than just 150. We also acquire the Cloak of Protection and Shade Clear Armor, and Auntie Scale Mail to bring our AC to 2. We then also... Oh, the game crashed. It was about now that I put the game down and took a break, and yet again, I forgot to press record for some of the most important part of the footage regarding Moonrise Towers, where I would give Garen Guthgorm 5,000 gold and shove her off the edge, free all the prisoners in Moonrise, and obtain the Derivation Cloak. Thankfully, when leaving Moonrise, I realized my idiot mistake as we headed toward the House of Healing, as the final item in this combination lurks in it. We made sure to obtain all the medical goods in the house and Carbazon's poison from Lidwin. Then we snuck around Malice to enter the study and obtain the Poisoner's Gloves. And the final item is nearby in the morgue. Bypass using an invisibility potion and a set of lockpicks to obtain the Eversight Ring, granting us complete immunity to blindness, making our darkness arrows even more powerful. The combination of the Derivation Cloak, Poisoner's Gloves, and Broodmother's Revenge grants us a permanent cycle of healing, bless, and poison damage, provided we're not in the Shadow Curse lands, which in fact, we are, so this was almost useless. We then returned to Dammon with some Infernal Iron to get the Helldust Gloves for some fire damage to our arrows, and acquired some bombs from Tali and Barkus. Now is the time to break the game through condition locking, which I learned from Morgana. Thank you, by the way. To do this, you must find an item that grants a condition that can be procced, drag it into the bottom row of your inventory, then sort by any type. Equip another item of that type, for us it is a ring, then drag that item onto the one you want to condition lock. For us, it's the Twilight Ring, and next you need to proc that condition, and then click to unequip it. When entering an obscured area, the ring gives us +1 to AC, but condition locking it and unequipping it makes the buff permanent even when entering unobscured areas. With this upgrade, we head to the Inquisitor and hand over the prism to enter the Dream Guardian's realm to get the Bless effect, and upon leaving, immediately enter turn-based mode. We then use a Darkness Arrow on the Inquisitor to start a fight with him, and then hide in it to break the enemy AI. Only now with the Eversight Ring, we don't even need to leave the darkness to shoot enemies, and we eliminate both Ardents on the second turn. The Inquisitor tries to Mindsteel Tempest, but even with his AC bonuses, none of them can find us, and after we break combat, we kill the Inquisitor before he can heal, and the others follow. Then we headed into the now empty infirmary, and using the Shade Clinger buff and all our saving throw buff gear, plus the Bliss Spores I went back to get from Spa, we succeed the saves to get the Awaken buff. This gives us level 8, where we unlock the Assassin subclass. For Assassin's Alacrity, refreshing all our action points at the start of combat. Also, critical hits on surprised creatures. Once all was said and done, we went into the Sharan Sanctuary and got the buffs to Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma, before heading over to Malice Thorm. I am infamous for failing the checks here, but by reading the book, we're able to convince him to let his sisters practice on him. He carries the loot to awaken Arculla and the Surgeon Subjugation Amulet, which is the one solution we have to Orin, once we deal with Isabel, that is. We obtain the Punch-Drunk Bastard from behind this vault's bar, and condition lock it for advantage on attack rolls. With all the buffs, we began our journey through Moonrise, as we need to clear out all the towers so we don't have to deal with the guards later. We would start a fight against 1 or 2 enemies, and thanks to Assassin's Alacrity, we'd regain all action points, and due to all the buffs, take them all out before they even get a turn. We even deal with most of the enemies on the rooftop, and then went around the Shadow Curse lands, doing all the smaller fights, like the Shambling Mound, Ravens, and so on. We then returned to Halcyon and woke up Arculla, bringing us to the shore to defend the portal. We gathered a bunch of chests and barrels to form a wall, and used the darkness arrows to obscure the portal. Is what I thought, as I was very bad at timing them, allowing the Harpers and a shadow to nearly destroy the portal. But thankfully it survives, and Halsin tells us where to find Oliver. The fight was very easy, as I just focused the 2 wraiths and then used a bunch of alchemist fires to kill the tiny shadows, successfully lifting the shadow curse. Then came the Gauntlet of Shar, and in hindsight, I definitely should have rested before getting the rest of the buffs, as the Morning Lord's Radiance paired with their Radiant Retort meant I couldn't fight any of the Justiciar without taking massive damage. But I did use Connor to attack one of the skeletons so combat wouldn't start. This gets us level 9, where we acquire more bombs and arrows, as well as a Cloud Giant Strength Potion, further buffing our damage. Then we deal with Balthazar by lockpicking his door, and then attacking his skeletons. Though in hindsight, I should have waited a turn to do this, as I had no actions left, and while most of them ignored me, Flesh did not. So we ran away from the fight, as there was no upside to me facing them down. Now we had to do the Shard Trials legit, as the Shadowfell door is immune to lockpicks. The Soft Step trial was solved thanks to our stealth roll to bypass the shadows, and we solved the self-same trial by stripping, so our copies would have no gear. Our copy was easily destroyed, and we claimed the second gem. But I instead went over to your gear, as I didn't want to risk losing the run to the Faith Leap trial, so I convinced him to kill his followers, and then fought him, killing him before he got a single turn in combat. Wait, what the hell is this inspiration? Oh, that's Balthazar, isn't it? Sucks to be him. We returned to the Myconid colony to gather some more potions and bombs before freeing the Night Song. This angered Shadowheart, and she hoped we would forget her, but when her corpse is in a box at camp, I don't really think I can forget her. Ketheric on the roof was pathetic, as we got him to surrender and quickly began to tear through his health. In fact, the Night Song actually hit an attack, causing Ketheric to flee. Wait, is this Baldur's Gate 3? We follow him into the colony, making sure to get the Killer's Sweetheart ring. We also free us and discover a fun glitch. By spam clicking through Us's dialogue after being freed, it will start the same conversation again, and when it disappears, you will get the Summon Us item per time you converse with it. But it's a spell, so away it goes. I apologize for the slightly lower resolution for this section, but we also got the Githzerai Mind Barrier and descended the lift to confront Ketheric. We witnessed the Power Rangers assemble, and then invisibly freed the Night Song, convincing Ketheric to end himself. Myrkul shows up, and combat begins. Now I know you've seen some insane Myrkul strats in recent videos, so let me spare you the pain of it, and my pain for it. On my first turn, we ran to Myrkul and dropped all the bombs we had collected next to him, and drank a speed potion for the extra AC, as to get out of range of the bombs, we had to take an opportunity attack, and almost got one shot, successfully managing to detonate the bombs to end Myrkul. On the way out, we ran around the side of Moonrise and attacked Isabel, killing her and Tally, as Tally unfortunately witnessed Isabel's death. I'm sorry, Tally. I'm not alright by Jahira. Then we confront some Gith from surprise, and basically kill all of them in one turn. Resting for the night unlocks our Slayer form, and we probably will never use it. We then get attacked by the Gith, walk past all of them, making sure to get our buffs back as best as we could before meeting the Emperor. This fight sucked, failing to throw off one of the Gith on the first turn. Thankfully, they were all distracted by the brain cats, because an air punch on me could have killed Lady Chasm. The Emperor stunned one of them, and on our next turn we threw the Gith off the ledge before jumping away from said ledge. Thankfully we saved the whole person, and the Emperor does manage to dominate one. Then we jump up to the platform and go invisible. Surprisingly, the Emperor barely gets hit, and we manage to paralyze all of them, which the Emperor, being 13 intelligence smarter than my character, does not capitalize on, by extracting the brain of the paralyzed Gith. Idiot. But we shoot down 2 more, with the MP finishing them off. The parasite is ours, and we head to Act 3. We showcase our insane stealth skills by sneakily assassinating Arthur with a darkness arrow to sneak in, and steal his pass and his haggis. Then we enter the circus and talk to Popper, who sells us good potions, and Boney, who makes a statue of us for permanent bless. We speak to the gnomes and obtain some arrows and bombs for our legitimate business work, and to Worm's Crossing to obtain some more potions and the rapture buff from Jures's Caress. With this, we reach level 10, unlocking Action Surge. We then headed into Worm's Rock, getting a vision from our butler, and freeing Floric. Then we killed Chef Revere and took his hand from the murder tribunal. We also acquired the Armor of Agility, which we will use for a full 10 minutes, as we killed Nesha and earned the passphrase to enter Candle Hallow. We also upgraded our drip and entered the murder tribunal, to kill an elephant and become an unholy assassin. Then we obtained the Ballast Armor and Dolor Mars from Abazigal, and the second Dolor Mars from Dolor, who really didn't mind us shooting him for some reason. We did still need a few items, so we snuck into Cazador's palace, as both could be found there, and used Connor to drag both the chest from the room with a necrotic child in it, since we couldn't remove it, and also bring the book to us. The Helm of Grit is within the chest, and by condition locking it and go under 50% HP, we have another bonus action. We eliminate some furries and some rats in the ballroom, and descended to Cazador's basement. He wants to ascend to become a master vampire, but we unceremoniously kidnap him from his own right and introduce him to the best view of the city. He could have literally moved a single foot to be out of the sun, yet he didn't, and got badly sunburnt. So badly that he disappeared. Oh my god. We finish his cronies and stab him to acquire Rhapsody, which when condition locked, gives a +3 bonus to attack rolls, damage rolls, and spell save DC, after killing a few things. Now we were so close to becoming the Blood God, yet one stood in our way. Oh yeah, it's time for Orin. First though, we speak to Helsik, intimidating her into being an ally, as she gives allied creatures a 66 piercing damage buff. As per usual, we skip through the sewers, invisibly sneak through the Ball Temple, making sure to have the Surge and Subjugate amulet equipped, and Helsik kidnapped. Orin has captured Halsin, but we tempt her with our blood, crit her with Executioner to paralyze her, and, well, fuck him up. Ball appears, and we actually decide to accept his gift, and side with him not for the power word kill, which goes away. The cultists are in shock that we dealt so much damage. Should we shove them off the edges, too, as they just don't care? We faced Jaheira, as she remembered what we did to Tally, but she was level 1, so... Granny. I'm sorry. I'm not alright by Jaheira. Then we save Vola from the thugs, easily killing them, as Vola's buff is helpful, provided we don't talk to him. We then enter the House of Grief and meet Viconia. She is not happy that we killed Shadowheart, and I thought I was going to have to fight her, but apparently not. Even fate picks its favorites. 7,000. That massive XP got us level 12. We've become a champion fighter for even more crit reduction. The House of Hope was next. We, of course, kidnapped Helsik to take her with us and went straight over to Harlep. We shot him to surprise him and kill him in a single attack to obtain the passphrase to enter the archives, and we wasted no time going over to the Orphic Hammer, grabbing it, but I would make a fatal flaw in forgetting to pick up the Amulet of Greater Health, mere feet from it. An invisibility potion was used to skip the Hellballs, and we entered the back of Hope's prison. Helsik being with us doubles our damage from around 200 a turn to nearly 450, so the imps and spectators stood no chance, and Hope was freed. We prepped for battle by bubbling up everyone, as Hope would be basically useless in the fight, and walked into the foyer, throwing down a speed potion and invis, as well as coating our bow in crawler mucus. Yurgir was convinced to join us, and the fight began. Just roll the clip. Hell yeah. Hit that shit. Blast him. Do that again? Oh my god. Raphael was the only one left, and with a few pillars left, he ascended, only to get shot several times, bring him under a third of his health. But my Terrazol and haste was about to run out, so wisely, with my leftover movement, I didn't notice the invisibility potion, and went for the door, closing it behind me, as I knew his movement speed was terrible, and Hope and Yurgir were both there with him. I cannot make this shit up. Helsik is a legitimate fucking troll. What the hell are you doing, Helsik? Are you trying to... Oh, I didn't think to... Shoot. Oh. No. Top 10 anime betrayals. She had literally done nothing for any battle I was in, until deciding to side with Raphael by opening the door to allow him to kill me. I could have just reset and done the whole thing again, but I had already done another attempt at this run that died to Malice Thorm's stupid legendary action, and I was so close to the end. Dishonor it is yet again. But in the end, it wouldn't have even mattered if I had done another playthrough. The second go-round, I made sure to focus Raphael, We also placed some bombs next to the pillars so that they would be destroyed when shot, and hoped to use some of our fire arrows to detonate the pillars to lower Raphael's AC and skip its turns, ultimately ending in his demise. Despite Hellsick, we decided to leave her trapped in the Hells. And with all that done, we spoke to Gortash and agreed to have him meet us at the Morphic Pool, and roasted some brain rats before taking the boat there. I was still mad, so I took out my anger on Gortash, scoring a crit on him, paralyzing him with the amulet, and killing him in 2 more attacks. We also had the gear we would need for the brain, but we confronted it and it rose to attack Baldur's Gate 3. I was so sick of the squid, so I pushed him to make him leave. Oh, and why is Gale dead? When I was taking out my anger, I decided it would be fun to bring Gale into the party and carry around his dead body, but it was here I thought I remembered about the Netherstones. Whoever wields them must cast Karsus' Compulsion on the brain, which is a spell, so having Gale in my party was perfect. We freed Orpheus and stuck it to the brain using Invis Pots, before sending with Gale to confront the brain, as it wasn't a problem, I could just use the orb. Then I saw it. The solution to every other challenge, where Karsus' Compulsion didn't work, was labeled as a cantrip. Gale's orb, the key to beating this challenge, wasn't even something we could use. Would it be a terrible video to come this far into the game and not beat it? I was so disappointed that I decided to just down Gale and pick him back up over 30 times until he left the party. Then we had Orpheus buff us with Fierce Perilous Stakes, and ascended the Brainstem for the final fight. And boy did the game love this. Ah, yes, a 0% hit chance. The entire turn order was obliterated, and Orpheus channeled the stones to enter the brain. Now how strong could this brain possibly be if we just one-shot it? Because Orpheus had to use a spell, we betrayed him to claim the crown of Karsus. The Illithid armies will prowl the streets, eliminating every spellcaster, just because I said so. And sadly, you can't beat Baldur's Gate 3 without spells. And not because it was too hard, but because of the Netherstones, Connor, and Hellsick. Screw Hellsick. Thanks for watching, and thanks to the members. If you want your name plastered on a massive ass banner for everyone to see, why not become one, as it really helps me out a lot. Next video is going to be a very fun one. See you later.